Sonam Dola Benje Sanje Dubaja Sanje Chedan Zogi Janam Sanju Bado Dani Kelzanji Dagi Chizingi Sonam Dola Benje Sanje Dubaja Dhamma Sangha. May I enter the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. From the mountains of my mind, I take refuge in the Buddha and the Buddha and the Son. And I fear and create this practice. May I enter the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now to the high mind, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Son. And by may I create this practice. May I attain the state of Buddha, for the benefit of all sentient beings. Kange Dujini Zunwa, Dawa Danja Pameni, Tambi Chini, Tanzido, Koram Delan, Zaza, Lo. 다 아주디 루루 제데 최인시 제 돈다 이말에 최인시 제데 년마다 세번 삼기 실순두고 열어야 말이나 때 하장 가버리 때 구멍을 알려줘요 최인기 전에나 뭐네 지 최대 년데 아니 소식이 기념모는 매아주네 아니 배 샘라도 마지어데 ini jiwa saya ini sama dia ini berang cipi tentang member semjen tamje latte da teta bi nyomo jawang bishune dungali yoda oda digi samsa de ini kanche nyomo biya tapchi khona chine rajan semjen tamje gila nyomo biya tabe khona chine ngwa ba shengen ge digi ji samda de shebaina ta mazo ruru chine ko chugu are demadan de ruru chine ko che ta ngone chik tasu nin samsi samina tat tunda ke majores teni indugala kaji kulmom de pen keti choba chwa de nin sibu ke chimores
we gathered here to listen to teachings and to discuss but it is hard to tell whether we really, listen to teaching or not, and it depends on the intention. And if we have an intention of, to eliminate or at least to reduce afflictions or delusions of oneself, and then to achieve enlightenment ultimately, and not only for oneself, but to benefit others. If we have that kind of intention, then we can say that we are doing a right way of listening and discussion. Otherwise, we came here, discuss, listen, teach, and if there's nothing changes in the levels of delusions, ignorance that we have, then whatever we are doing is it's merely empty words. So therefore, as mentioned always, it is important to have a good intention at the very beginning.
Nyumon sing the condition. Nyumon shudata. Send the Nyumon to Rodu, Ijundu, Shudata, what it means you catch him place. In the Indugalata, Chick, Hage, Shiji Chidi, that Tevachim Chich Hadiore. In the Indugalata, Mone, Chick Maranso, Chick, Tevachim Chi, Siade, Chanju Sim, Oda, Teletutiore. 가르잖아 바게 람 로벌 개발도 봐봐 gem도 람 멤버를 개발도 봐봐 샘게 시대 답에 gem도도 샘게 닝기 직 타기 전에다 연하면에 gem도 샘게 닝기 당 낭비 시사듯이 차디요 에데가라 동이 또베 타와데 동이 또베 로 아니 방기로 마치베 끼와지 아니 가지베 몰람 순제 있네 셈바카베고네 몰람 작도 수치네 네 다 디치베이나 사기 고방생게 그야지 이어들에 뒤쪽에 답시 될라 다 장주세바이나 아니 베 발진투를 냐면 지고 와래 대나니다 아주 발진 땅봉이 붙이는 이런 소베 발진되가 돼야지
It doesn't matter, how often you practice Dharma. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are practicing Dharma. But what is important is to practice, meaningful, effective, something productive. And the very purpose of our practice is to train, our mind. And to fight against, negative mentalities. So therefore, it is always important whenever you practice, whether your mind is influenced by, afflictions or delusions or negative mental factors or not. And as a Mahayana practitioner, one has to have the, practice of altruistic mind or bodhicitta. Because generally it is considered that the core, the essence of Buddhist practice, because of the refuge practice, the practice that you do of Mahayana is superior than mistaken practice or mistaken path. Because of the practice of bodhicitta, altruistic mind, your practice is superior to lesser vehicle. So these two are the main characteristics of Buddhist practice, Mahayana practice, refuge and altruistic mind. And then these two as a foundation, and on top of that you have a practice of emptiness, wisdom realizing emptiness. So even if you do a prayer, make a prayer, one should have have a very good intention. And so if you practice accordingly, what we mentioned before, then there is a way that one can achieve enlightenment ultimately. So for the bodhisattvas to achieve enlightenment, they has to practice 6 perfections. And we have been discussing 6 perfections based on the text we have. And so far we finished the first 2, and now we are going to the third, that is the practice of tolerance.
Wata zupa siddhiganla kandishires. Ta zupa siddhi maranso le dambo wala misba kechimbu chadiyo. Ta zupi nyamlenji mena ani parjin dambo nigi nyamlen pudu chunga jina sangi kobang singde thubaya kala khabu chadiyo. Tindiganla karjana parjin dambo nigi 다 술진기 퍼진 야버진 냠nen제네 못할라다 미 고방 도가래 짐베 퍼진 냠nen제네 아니 직 하게 벤조르단다 덴디지 선물랍 전부지 사거래 농주 전부지 용해 덴디지 차거래 오다 이 에니베 선남데 야직 고 콤펜도 로야라 조파딩 냠nen제와 데 미지고 केचिंबो सोपे ओदा तेली लिगाला माजों गे योंया दे जोपा मियोया दे कोंडोदा एने जेदांगी केंची दोरे जोपि मिथिन जदे तेंगी छारियोरे अनि दी दिंदी लिगाला जोपा योंला जोपि फागी मिथिन छ अनि छारां कोंडोदा जेदांगी गी युद का कोरे एक संगमान से मबु जु छारे 오다 두두스 제네 오다 이미데와다 가와다 때 미스베 개침버려 오다 디기디 이제 아니 때 마인 바다 즉 간데세 니베 저바 공부를 시디가라 뇌지지기 많이 버지 마찬가지 제용도 가라 zuba 공부를 마도 아니베 거기 뇌지 기능이 이제 편제지기 편받도 되거라 zuba 공부하기 이삭하나요 말이지 근데 이거라 뇌지 되기 아니베 양이 신경바 말이야 양이 리게 아니베 대발라서 봐 양나 즉 더버도 발란 게 지기 다 진리지 용도 다 zuba 제하는 시고 그래서
So the practice of patience or tolerance is extremely important for the beginners, especially for the beginners. And it doesn't matter how perfect practice that you have of the first two, generosity and discipline. If you don't have the practice of patience or tolerance, there is no way that one can achieve enlightened state of mind. And as we mentioned before, the practice of discipline or moral discipline results achieving higher state of rebirth, that is human and God and Goddess realm. And the result of the generosity, one can achieve, wealth, accumulation, positive merits. But in order to kind of, purify the quality of these two, the first two, the practice of patience is important. So to practice patience or tolerance, one needs to know what causes, what are the obstructions, what are the hindrances, what makes you not to practice patience. And when we talk about this, then it comes the role of hatred and anger, two main mental factors that obstructs, or that is directly opposite to the patience. And for these two, and how we practice, first we need to block the very cause of the hatred and anger. And cause here, we discussed this before often, the sense of uncomfortableness. At that time, it is the time you need to be cautious. And if you let that kind of move forward, that becomes, or that transforms into the hatred and anger. And how to practice or meditate patience. And one need to know that when there is a agent, whatever, and that is going to harm you or offend you, and that agent used means like physical, verbal, something that you don't like, that hurts you, and that is the time, that is the kind of circumstances which makes you to hate, angry. Otherwise, person or agent who is very nice to you, and if he's always doing good to you, and then there's no way that that kind of environment doesn't give you the opportunity to practice patience. So therefore it could be, as mentioned before, somebody might use harsh word, might use physical force to offend you, hurt you, might cause obstructions to achieve whatever desire you want. So these are the circumstances that kind of gives you opportunity to practice patience or tolerance.
Oda tendi nigala jik mi bhajo ni ta chingamba manana dekba jebaina da karjana mi bhajo de shigi de tubo ngi ta jik mariung gore de yung gore oda bhajo de nyumong bo jamang da shadiyare de na nyumong de jamang da shadiwa hago sosi semde tubo jebaina bagi genjin sosi semde tubo ina ta zoba tata jin de ma so oda didi enibe semde ma tubo jin semde oda bhajo de sem tu ni nyumong bo jamang da shone gendi yung gore ta ngoni 소소 ina te thupana jigimidwa samdane ene didi ene be sem the two majun de wa ke chimures sem the two soina ingo jawand shoso teni zuba yungu mares.
So in a situation where where you becomes angry, hateful, at that time what is happening is there is somebody a person who is either physically using a force to offend you, gives you pain, difficulties, or using very harsh words, and at that time what is happening is that the other person's mind is kind of disturbed, not stable, and therefore that person is under the influence of delusions or afflictions. And so when somebody treats you very mean, and if you respond in the same way, what is happening is you are just following, you are doing exactly the same as the other person. You are making your mind disturbed. And so at that time, if you understand, or if you realize that the other person is under the influence of or dominated by, negative mentalities, and if you realize that, this is not good to respond in the same way, I don't want to be, dominated. My mind don't want to be dominated by, negative mentalities. If you understand that, then, if you not let your mind disturb, just like, the other person, then here comes the practice of patience.
Oda tindi nila ngazo lejunde kelengi chari yore. Tindi nigala, ta yang samlo mi pajo ni chi la yundigala, ne mataba chi chi yundigala, ta samtang gugare. Oh, ta ti kha mi doa. Kewa ngama ngazo, ta kewa ngama thoma mebani, chi le ngamba mambu sa de yore. Tindi yundigala, mi digi ani 마음에 마찬가지 있는 거라 제디 영아만 네파기 콜라 마찬가지 바래 딜리기 내민 거서래 아데 카야 말아서 야 도시 딘디 초 딘디지 삼다나 야지 파기 딘디기 내 미켜데 미용 말에스 대핑기레스.
And another way of dealing with when somebody gives you trouble all the time, make you angry, you can think about the karma, cause and effect, especially when it's very hard to endure. You can think about I must have done something bad to that person in my past life, therefore I am experiencing the result. And this kind of looking at the situation might help you to not generate hatred, anger.
Junjunan disura jedang tapi dibame, zopat tapi kathumes. Ta jedang de pe misi be dibenani, ta pe zobe mitincho jedang chadiore, khongto de jedang ni. Dingi tele dibat sapchaji ten zawani ni mesore. Di imbada khasangama jison, ani be junjuna kalpatong to sabe gawani ungre. Any Omanjubena Kapa Jaitsaba Gawanjungri. They Janjusaba Nang Panzunje, Umanjubene Suede, Janjusaba Nang Panzunje, Oda Suzikiu Nang Panzula, Kalbatong to Sube Jawad Gazad and Jom Dugre Sidiga, Dinzigi, Le Pe Gazan Jomiagi, Tap Chamboda. Any be Dindigi Tape Lam Koma Poalan, Gaging into so the Jedanda. Kontu chayo kore, oda tendi itene jedang tabi diba me labre, jedangi nimi di samladane, jedang tabi diba me da melu de yang yang do samladang. Ene zebe payin samladane, zeba me na sangi kopang tugu mare, zeba jizam jim mi sangi kopang pa jasho, zeba me na dande ene pe ngarang zo kayo layagi kala jizogu ina te zo tugu mare, di kangal di zod matubayina khalaten zatubya yomare ota tendigi chik zoba sinde chik tonda chembush dubala 할레베 코지 침부치아디가 semgidiki tardu tubala zuba mena semgidiki tuya mesaga tendi indikala zubata pe katu me la katu sere tendi indikala dewe zola nendendo nasa sugi gombarcha slabe oda tendi gi gyuzen samladane eni pe gonna sobi sune eni pe zubata gomugures tadi dua jedangi kontroda tezugi nimi de samladane zoba gomiyachi oda ji temaimba zube payin samladane zoba gomiyachi le gyundegi to ne pa samladane zoba gomiya gonna sobi gona kanchi susi sende matuwa jede ke chisho reisi
in the text, Bodhicharya Avatar, the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, in that text, Shantideva says that there is no, sinful activities like, hatred, and there is no, hard practice than patience. So therefore, the practice of patience is important, and so on and so forth. So here, one need to know, when you practice patience, one need to understand, one need to think about the negative impacts of, hatred. And we discussed this before in the same text, Bodhisattva's Way of Life. If you have a hatred, generated hatred, that will destroy the positive activities you created for 1,000 years. And in the text, engaging a middle way path, in that text it says that one moment of generation of hatred will destroy positive activities created for 100 years. That's for bodhisattvas, and then for ordinary human being, 1,000 years, positive activities will destroy by one moment of hatred. So therefore, the negative impact of the hatred is immense, it's huge. And the hatred is also one of the main obstructions to achieve, the higher level of path. So therefore, one way of practicing a patience is to think about the negative result of, the hatred and anger. And the another way is, one can think about the benefits of the practice of patience, let alone, enlightened Buddhahood. If you don't have patience, let alone Buddhahood, you won't even, get, the day-to-day, meal. If you are too lazy, don't want to make some effort, you don't want to make a food that you need. So therefore, to achieve great consequences, high result, peace of mind, the practice of the patience or tolerance is must. And using a different perspective, different ways, different means to practice patience, as mentioned before, thinking from the perspective or point of view of karma, then benefits of patience, negative impacts of hatred, and basically, when you think about all this, what you are doing is, not making your mind disturbed.
Oda tendi indugalata zuba dela phagi yewa zoni chebaina sumres nechele chemini be zuba lunga talengi zuba chilengishi gi zuba te zuba te sumyores.
And patience or tolerance, when we look more closely, it can be, it is categorized into three type of patience. The first one is patience of not retaliating against someone who harms you. So basically, not retaliation. Second is willingly enduring suffering, and enduring suffering is the second. And third is discriminative awareness of the Dharma. So these are the three types of patience.
Oda tendi indugala ba nechele chimini be zuba se digala tali kondo jison nechete pa 늘린데 펜심 파 제구가 오늘 너바수 너바지도 파 펜비sem기 펜심 깨구가 펜심 마게 늘린 너빈 잘바이나 파조 셈투베 왕기 수 늦지지어래 다 수저 셈투데 파제베나 조바싱리 티점레서 조바다다레 마스파스.
So the first one, not retaliating against someone who harms you. So here, retaliation refers to a negative response. If somebody harm you, offends you, pain, gives you pain, whatever, if you return in the same way, that is not right. What you should be doing instead is with a kind heart, with a positive heart or mind. Then if you do something good in return, then that becomes a practice of patience.
문에 가서 내 당보봐 녀모 하장 원도 균 내게 미지기 너는 펜비투 거를 세야 돼 당보니 요야요 말에 갈라 가보 싶으래 다들 간지 거를 들어가라 당보 파기 미지기 내 밖에 용도 갈라 야니 요야게 탑시지 야니 간지 배 가가한데 간지 파 너는 너비 만잘지니 두시 합시지 제거했어. 뒤냐는데 용기지다. 문에다 지기 야 펠렌시다. 너는 펜비투시에 된 문에 용해요랬어.
So this kind of practice of patience, patience of not retaliating against someone who harms you, of course, is very difficult for the beginners who is full of ignorance, delusions, defilements. And so the practice for the beginners is when somebody hurts you, it's best to avoid, or just keep silence, don't respond. But when you used to this practice, keeping quiet and not respond in the same way, and gradually this will improve its quality, and then you will be able to kind of practice this real patience. When somebody hurts you, instead of retaliation, you treat it nice way, you do a good. This will come later, but not at the first stage.
너지기 주 너바지디가라 파 너는 너비 만절이데 뺏게 전부 차고 됐나 말아서 메지 자자존지 야 메레션 레라고질레 메지지만 되거나 선웅루나 님에 잡아라 더둥배 메슈 쳐버리 쳐봐라 되나진지네 미 파조 녀몽배 정원도 쓰다 가서 너바지인 거래 너바지인데 가라 수세 녀몽 왕기 센더 투버지데 파 너는 너빈 잡아이나 간지 만자매요 말이 배 슈치로 차 그래 슈치로 차나 되는 걸로 채수 그래 가리 녀몽 정원도 셔야 미 남주데 때야 기는 땐니마 땐 자왕이 남주 때야 매겐 자로 그래 배 녀몽에 하기 남주 탐제 지기는지 디니 칸이 치지나 야부지 튼 말에 치님바셔지 튼 거래 어다 대치 ngamba 비 슈구디 유들라 에니베 라바자데 레레 에니베 체르 에니베 춘춘이 전부투야 어다베 직 어다 되니 차그래 어다 대인디가라 직 카카 대샤이나 베 셈듬 투마주제 따둥베 셈 투구여나 투구도 아다 등이 템바 줄거나 코메다 마서나 만 자도 그래 어다 된데 소리지데 간제 메춘춘지 자본전디가라 메춘춘지인데가라 출루샤나 고 춘춘 세트 부와래 어다 때는 주말로지 선음주나 고체로 그래 어다 때소네지래 나랑도 냐는 제단에 해소네지제네 자기 고 응업이 내줄라 따기 지는 냐는 제 부와래스
and not retaliation here, not responding in the same negative way. If you retaliate, the typical example used here is when there's a fire, and if you add more fuel, the fire will become, more stronger, and that doesn't help to, eliminate fire. So exactly in the same way, if somebody is, angry, hateful against you, and under the domination of afflictions, delusions, and if you respond in the same way, express your kind of negative mentalities, and that is adding a more fuel on somebody's fire, and that will make the situation worse, more hatred, more anger, and then more negative result. Also when there is a strong hatred and anger, we mentioned this before often, your intelligent won't function. So and when it grows, anger or hatred grows, first comes harsh words, then comes using fist, or comes the physical forces. Then it becomes stronger and stronger, worse and worse. Instead, if you when somebody is very angry at you, if you just keep quiet and be aware of your mental state, if your mind is kind of disturbing, it is getting hurt, you should be able to kind of realize at that moment that it is not good to respond in the same way, retaliate. And that is like when there's a small fire, you are putting a water to put it off. So this is how one practice patience.
야, 오다 던지지네. 오다 냠는 지단데 오 던지레스. 던지 디갈라다 직 맞아 충사지라 르 당기어 말. 단다 오는 거와 충사지 난 두고. 던지 디갈라 파기니 직 가르쳐다 미지기 지 너가 춘추지데 내 마차바 집에 있나? 내가 뚜뚜 말해. 오다 야 던데 있지네. 대한디그리 세야 대잠제 말이스. 공모에 내지 파기 렘바치네. 아니 직 냠는 지와야 돼. 빼 미지밖에 전부 차디어래. 던데 인도가라 당가서 직 가르쳐 다 파기 라마 첩에 나라 디도아 라마 첩에 나라 떤다된 디니스통디야래 sem진 탐제 달 소소 트그이난다 아니베 직 상투와다 다직 니에고와다 근데 칸레지 지기에나 디베 sem진 탐제도 소소란 되기에나 소소고는 sem랍도 머투 버지네 더둥베 디글 냠는 슈 체루다네 아니 제구레스 어 딘디 제베 딘디디 탐부 중순니 머투 버지네 냠는 고 콤펠드 제는 누구가 마도 로파르나진지네 니마지 톱데갈 비용에 말해스 딘디 디갈라 디우스지 충산이 냠는 찌기찌기 아니 니마지 딘디기 미셈전 담제 다긴 짜다부지 찌기연한다 하 늘렌데 펜베두야 더룸 펜바 코나 바지 젠 셈전이 베 레발랑 건데 코나마 좀 미용지 장주기 셈스인데 오니 주마마이 미지길에 깨데 정말 용그래 왔다 대인디가라 랑 루인제네 에베 직 하기 미라네 베 진투비하게 아니 니가 개발지 셈다나 더둥베 류레 총어 동아 용나야 셈니 가데 용야 근데 이 냠는 디제니 용야지 차대야레스
So in practice of patience, even a practice of very small accumulations of or creation of positive activity is important. And therefore also when somebody small offend small painful experience when somebody gives you, it is also important kind of not neglecting it. You should be able to kind of practice your patience even at a very small level, and one shouldn't be kind of responding it's okay, this is small, I don't have to practice patience. That doesn't work. So Guru Puja prayer, in that prayer it says that even all entire sentient beings is criticizing me, and it's hurting me and giving me a pain and difficulties, I shouldn't be letting my mind disturb. So so this is the practice. And this kind of practice, when entire sentient beings is against you, and instead of retaliation you are kindful to them, this kind of practice comes from a very small practice, very, very small practice. And therefore in the prayer it says that this kind of big practice won't come kind of spontaneously, like turning a burden on or off. This practice needs improved or developed from a very small practice. And once you kind of start your practicing a patience from the small, and improve or develop higher and higher, eventually one can achieve the mental power of course not retaliation, but let alone retaliation, but wanting to help and benefit, just to benefit and help your enemy. And for the sake of your enemy, you will be able to give up your life. And this kind of mental power, ability, comes from the very small practice.
Lama chebe tsi din dires kamsum higu malu trigika sheshe chandu nelen pambitu set sungyares tsi din dires kamsum zibe zu zumek kam de kamsum dere ke gu sede kewa gu del kewa lendong gu le tartuna semjen thamje zede chibe chikyang ke gu sede kewa gu de zukam de kam ne kega chikchi de kam ne zukam dokam ne kengin chikchi niche ene zume khan dokam ne kengin jes kewa sumcha songa te na jingi zukam ne kengin chikchi dokam ne zukam ne pha kengin chikchi zume ne zukam ne kengin chikchi sumchi kewa tukcha songa kewa len ta de tu ta te na jin zume le kengin chikchi dokam ne zume le kengin niche ta zukam ne zume le kengin sumchi ne duchi ne ke gu se de kewa le na semjen thamje tindi kewa gu de kaung ji leng gu wa but semjen thamje za de chiba je semjen thamje da ge ne be so su kyen du she tang sang du di khari ji gi da de la pha phem ba de ne lem phem be tu wa es ta du en be sang yi salam go ya khon zo en be ta du chang ju gi sem gi en be ngo kompen du ya tindi gi en be ni ji kun la je ne be ji 용그레 셰셰처럼 내래 뱀베뚝 써야 돼. 보다 치디들. 이 보다 치디들이 samudane 윤도 치디 다 되기나 님의 지금 아주 냠는데 다다지 용해지 요래서.
The words in the Guru Puja prayer, it says entire sentence beings here three realms and 9 different rebirths. If entire sentient beings. So here the 3 realms: desire, form, and formless realms, and 9 rebirth refers to the 9 rebirth, and actually is another word for all sentient beings. So 9 rebirth here refers to rebirth of desire realm, 2 desire realm, rebirth of desire realm, 2 form and formless, and so on and so forth. So basically, every sentient beings, entire sentient beings are criticizing you, making fun of you, and giving you a hard time. Instead of retaliation, one should be benefiting them, helping them out of good compassion. So the more we think about this kind of practice, the more there is a possibility that we will be able to achieve the practice of patience.
Oda dus ta dijidigala tanda dina oda tere ta dungal tanlen jiso ba sidigala kargore dungal ge ngomo chenne ene ta dungal pha samata dungal chengo si zeya tondala dungal chungchung teso zo wae oda dinigi jik samata de eni pe phagi jik zbat de dungal tanlen jiso ba la penami eni pe jik sola thundenge niji nasa jichembo yendenge ji kanchen zugu jichenne ko so dele kyogu na zugu de chegere ale yakeyo mare ko so de kecher modo zubu chazang kecher modo kanji chembe dondal chungul loe tangboda namje dengu wale chembe dondal chungi dondal chembo de retana mid namje meade oda jik ho tadaji majuare oda tendi digala ngarazo kyo thoma mebane tanda pardu enbe chungchungji samudade chembo loitane lebare korwenawa janju seba degide chungchungla zene eni chembo la mil chembo jene chungchungla zede kadiu chene sangi kopang tubare oda didal taga sangi kopang tunge midigi janju seba degide 가서지 우레견데 ena jidu mila shebe doji kubla ne be du sujuju ni de kubla raho na shi chabare kanjen sange bare ngaranzu gibunde dewande oda mi ene be lunde ani jik dende shaji jene kanje jik phagi khorwe nala tanda pardo lebare oda dende di namje di khebar de samad yang yang do tangwa de ke chimbu do as Dina doenala dizeyare tambo chadangani dawalas chuni chundi wandu sangye ngani lele wangu kwa cham lavre oda sangi gida semjen sede kare chabar chabare chidna sem rajingi hagidi chuni gone sem asalayamba chikba chikyangre sangi gi Semsidigala tima lupurwe tasore, ani semjengi semsidigala tima lupurwe tumsore. Tima lupurwe tumgyo ta percebala, kaje nyamlen jene ta uguru mato nyamlen maje taya mesore. Oda tende jene nyamlen jedade ta du jene ni chunchuni yagu kompeten jebuaye ta kechim chalores.
Second type of patience, willingly enduring sufferings. So here, one need to, to practice patience. One need to understand, recognize the different, types of suffering, different levels of suffering. And here, the practice refers to, in order to avoid, big suffering. One needs to endure a small suffering. So the example is, if there is a disease in you which might take your life, and for that, if you need to cut off your part of body, fingers or limb or hand, one should do that to save one's life, and therefore to achieve a big benefit. Giving up of small, is a wise decision. And what we have been doing, ordinary human being, is always considering the small thing as important, and we don't look into the big result. So therefore, we are always here in the samsara. But on the other hand, bodhisattvas, for the great result, great benefit, they endure small suffering. And example here would be, Milarepa, how he, endure physical hardship, to achieve, enlightened state of mind, Buddhahood. But when you look at ourselves, even a small hatred, small anger, we kind of follow these negative mentalities. So therefore, it is important to kind of weigh, what is the result of, practice of small, and the big suffering. And in the sutra, Buddha also says that, in the sutra there is a verse which says that initially, you and me are same, but because of the practice of effort, you become, enlightened. But because of my laziness, I'm still in the samsara. So here also, tells about the, here says that, although, you and my mind, we have the mind, quality-wise, the same mind, same nature, but because of your practice, including patience, tolerance, you become enlightened. But because of my lack of, patience, because of laziness, I'm still, in samsara. So even a small practice of, accumulating positive activities and patience is necessary.
다들이 출력 의식이 조바시드가라 다 하기 다 다보타르기네 디순데래 룽알 따는 기 조바당 내절에 재민이 비조바니 군솔을 템비 다 디레스 아니 출력 의식이 조바데 타왈레스 두스체네 자기도아 인디가라 다 당분이데 군소 마음도 집에 조바곰다지 치마데 던담마도 집에 조바곰다지 두시스나다 최남기 내루 친지 말로봐 소설 애니베 따니 우무고스 답에 내루 파기 제바제네 아니 디레도 레민도 텐도 테민도 다 두스체네 제바제네 아니 조바곰고와 다 디디지가라 던담나테메네 베 조바곰다인스 소레 That 세부도나 타보 타르기네 로 아니 베 단다 남르 남로 랍장다 때수 강가 양내도 로 단편도 연구레스
Third type of patience, discriminative awareness of the Dharma. Here, in the text it says that a practice of patience or tolerance based on the, based on the discriminations or based on the, specific investigations of each and every phenomena. And this is considered as the practice of patience based on the ultimate truth, while the first two practices considered as the practice based on the conventional truth. And this is mentioned in the text, the jewel ornament. And for more detail, one can look into the the same text, jewel ornament, and also liberation in the palm of your hand.
라렌 수디 메나라 기위 논전 데비 갸셀라 네제 담제 린전 테르다손 데치르군라 진다 메바이 조바게 막 갸셀라 린제 손레스.
And then going back to the text, 37 practices of bodhisattvas. Here, verse 27, for all bodhisattvas with mind sets on merit, who wish to amass a great store of good deeds, encounters with those causing harm and destruction, which test their commitment, are minds of great wealth. For this very reason, abundant resentment and anger directed towards those who do harm, perfect meditation on patient endurance. The sons of Buddhas all practice this way. Shorter translation. To bodhisattvas who desire the wealth of virtue, all agents of harm are like a precious treasure. Therefore, cultivating the patience, that lacks hatred and animosity towards all is a practice of bodhisattvas.
어떤 되게 가르친 거라서 개회 론전들이 야셀라스 개와게 네베 론전 야체 뭐 등인지 장주세바 되게더라 가르고 내제 던제 다하게 림부치 때르게 바나진지 에베 와서기 그리스 가르서는 뭐네 차대요 다데 거기 꼰도 주어나지네 또 내제지 용데 가라 딜라 에베 하게 너는 네베 만들 펜바 두다데 제바이나 तदु सुसो सनम साय छगवारे तदु खोराला हाजल नगर छुला फेंदो जुवारे नजे दिगे जबे न्याने जे जुवारे नजे ते मेना जबे न्याने योया खोरा मिदो जबे नबे मिदो ता तेंदी इंदुगाला खोरा माशे बंगी लेंगम बासावारे सुसो जबा गम्बे दिबुला गेवा साबारे 이 ताई छबा चिकमु जुवा रिंजिंग इतरंगे बनाजिन ने बे चिक फगे 지금 가서렇게 그래 장주 세바테 그때라 뇌지 집아이나 어다 딘디 인디가라 수수이나 에니베 하기 니 다직 하기 가서 뇌지 딜라 레 용디가라 가서렇게 맡는다 나레 땅보아래 이나파 너는 너베 만잘지 너는 펜비 좀 맡나 नले नबे मजल चने लुमा दिन चने देश ना याशो दवाज
So as mentioned here, to bodhisattvas who desire the wealth of virtue, all agents of harm are like a precious treasure. So for bodhisattvas, who want to accumulate positive merits, for them, the agents of harm, whoever cause harm, pain and all these agents of harm are like a precious treasure, because they know that because of these agents of harm, provides bodhisattvas to create positive activities, to give them a chance of practicing a patience. So therefore, for ordinary people, it is difficult to consider finding a precious treasure when you find an agent of harm, but at least we shouldn't be kind of retaliating in the same way. We can kind of maintain a sense of neutrality, not kind of reacting in the same way.
아니 또도 딜이 개바되네 타게나 준주 로스 준주나 페미스가 답에 스펠리우다 할레비 예바레 오다 ताबथरगी इंकुरचार तेलो अने दाद दी लमरिन नमजोला चांगलो लमरिन छुमो इंकुरचार ओदा ते जो फर्जिन टूना ने जबे फर्जिन खपतो लोता जबा दे में सीसीला गाना तो सेमला ने बे जिदे ते खागाचिदे जबा यो इंदेगे मिजिदा मेदेगे मिदे ओदा जबा मेंगे मिदे खोंडु शु छुमबोया खोंडु चिजम지 슈체제데 미지존나 코난 제야 코난 요마르다 젠다 파자서 거다 덴디지기 개발 첨부야 오늘 가서 조심 우와 즉 사기 고방 마dum나 미인디 데린들라 엔베 기부 용그리스
So therefore cultivating the patience that lacks hatred and animosity towards all is the practice of bodhisattvas. And more detail, you can look into the text, as mentioned before, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, a Jewel Ornament, and look at the section where text deals with the practice of patience. And people with the practice of patience, of course, temporarily, their way of life is different. They have more peace of mind, more karma. And let alone, enlightenment. The benefit for just this life is, if you are full of hatred and anger, it doesn't look good, good to other people. It causes, troubles within the community. So basically, if you don't believe in enlightened state of mind, the practice of patience makes you a happier person.
What are those chase? Ani Jamadata 20% delay race.
We'll stop here and then take a break. Next, we will go to the practice of perfections of effort.